Welcome to Wednesdays with Willa. I am your host, Willa White, and this is my weekly podcast show that airs on my Facebook page, Willa White Medium. It also goes out on my YouTube channel and is uploaded to blogtalkradio.com/LilyDale Radio. It's an opportunity each week for me to connect with a special guest. We usually have a spiritual topic related to either spiritualism, mediumship, healing, faith, family, or more. And on today's show, I am delighted to have as my guest, Mavis Pittilla. Hello, Mavis.
Hi, how are you?
Doing well. I'm so glad to have you back on the show again. Mavis comes to us from across the pond. She lives in the United Kingdom and is a well-known medium throughout the world. Mavis is a former senior tutor at the Arthur Findlay College in England and has trained with the wonderful Gordon Higginson. And truly, she has been a mentor to many of the mediums in the world and has 2 books. If anybody's interested in checking out Mavis, they can look her up at mavispittilla.com. And certainly there's an online mentorship program that she offers, a wonderful opportunity to study with her. I also encourage you to look back at the archive videos on Willa White Medium. You can find when Mavis has been on the show before and continue to learn with her in that way. And today we're going to be focusing on the miracle of mediumship. So let's get into it, Mavis. Let's talk about this miracle.
Well, it's like the miracle of life, isn't it? It comes from that great source, that God source. But everybody that lives on earth will have a miracle happens in their life, connected with people that are in the unseen world. And that's what I want to talk about, really, is this idea that people have sometimes that, oh, I can't do it and it's not for me and I've not been born special, so therefore I haven't got it. And they're missing out sometimes on the miracle of communication with the people that they love most of all. And I really feel that that's important that we cover that, you know, not just for the mediums that are on platform or doing private sittings or professional, as we say, but for those people that really have that beautiful, beautiful opportunity to have that intimate oneness with the people that have gone before. You know, that's what I love about mediumship. It doesn't belong to anyone. It belongs to all of us. Yes, some people are born like you've been born and many others. Colin, I know you've had Colin on the show and probably Andy and all the other people. I can't think of them now. And yes, they perhaps are different. There is a different form of mediumship for them and for me and for you than there is for other people. But do we lose out, do you think, a little bit? Because we've lost that miracle. Because we're in this position where we have an appointment at 7:15 with someone. So, we know that the spirit world will be there. We know. And because we know, can we become a little bit complacent? Whereas when you're talking about people that have the richness of the miracle, when a butterfly appears, or when the light flickers, or when the telephone rings and there's nobody there, all these exciting moments, when they feel their hair being touched, or there's a coldness suddenly comes to them as they're sat reading, all those beautiful, beautiful miracles that are created by the spirit world, but through the power of the great spirit. You see, I don't believe anyone has been born without that opportunity to know the love beyond the veil. And it is knowing the love beyond the veil that I believe is so important. There's a richness to that. That I don't know if you're like me a little bit, but I feel sometimes as if I miss out a little bit now. I miss out on those moments when I'm just still and I can feel that sense of the spirit. Usually when they're there, it's to tell me something, or, we're sorting something out for a talk or a demonstration or something. Whereas in the beginning originally, It was that intimacy, that one-to-oneness. And, you know, if you have that one-to-oneness, you never want to lose it. Never want to lose it, because that's really the miracle.
Mhm.
And of course, we continue that miracle, don't we? We continue that miracle by what we call giving evidence. Actually, what we're doing is we're communicating on a different level. That's what we're doing. That communication turns from the light switch and the telephone and the code and the touching of the face. It changes from that, doesn't it, when we're working? Because when we're working, it's more, I've got your mother here and she's telling me this, and I know you have got her china. It becomes more open. There's more memories that can be explored by the spirit world, more gifts that can be shared of past histories. So it changes then. So I believe that some people are just like singers, really. I mean, we've just been somewhere and there was beautiful, beautiful singers. They'll never be known as stars, you know, on stage and radio. But my goodness gracious me, that their singing and their voices are beautiful. It's like a ballerina, isn't it? It's like a specialist, like a doctor who achieves great things, being able to do brain surgery. There are people that come to do it in one manner, and there are others that come to do it in another. And if you do talk about anything, it is about this wonderful, wonderful ability that we all have inside to fulfill the architect's plan. And our architect's plan is just wonderful. So that's what I believe the miracle of mediumship's about. I also think that the depth of the understanding of the philosophical outpouring is so important, because there is a beautiful philosophy that comes from the world of the spirit. There's a beautiful healing that comes from the world of the spirit. So it's not all about mums and dads and grands and grandmas. There's so much more besides that. And I often hear mediums talking about, well, I gave this piece of evidence and I gave that piece of evidence and I got a name and I got an address. And I think to myself sometimes, but did the person feel the presence of their mother through you? Because that's really the evidence, isn't it? It's not the name or the address or the date that they died. Sometimes it's just being aware that your mother is there in the room with you. And as if the medium has opened up to such a degree that the presence of that mother can just influence the daughter or the son. I just think that again, it ignites that miracle again, rather than it just be evidence. I mean, I'm always saying to my group, you know, if I could get rid of the word evidence, I would, and I'd put communication in, because that's what we do. We communicate, don't we?
Yes.
That's what I love about it, you see. When you're talking about evidence, it's so matter of fact and clinical and scientific and, oh, but it loses the essence of the presence. And it loses the essence of the God source that actually allows it to happen, or creates us with the opportunity for it to happen. So, you know, for me, I wonder sometimes when I'm watching our mediumship that we're not turning into mind mediums, where all we're doing is snatching at little bits as if we're listening to part of a conversation, but we're not taking part in the conversation with the spirit world. And for me, that's a glorious interaction with them. And the other thing I love about it, this miracle, is that they present themselves as people. They never come as a vibration or an energy. they come with warts and all.
Mm.
They come as they were. You know, I'm sure you've done it as a medium where you've been talking perhaps to a dad and he's been saying, I'm sorry I was grumpy. And you can see his face going grumpy in your clairvoyant vision. You can actually see that feel of him that he had when he was on the earth, which really gives us that strong awareness that they are still people and that they have all their memories,
Mhm.
and that's what they want to share with us. And I love that part of it. I love that part of it when you get that lovely feel of them coming in. And yeah, I was grumpy and I was bad tempered, and I'm glad they loved me anyway. I just love that feeling that comes with that evidence. If it is evidence, for me, it's communication through my being. And you know, that's it, isn't it? I'm sure you know what I mean. And
I know
any,
exactly what you mean. Yes.
any medium that's listening will be aware. It's like your whole being is there within that communication.
Mhm.
And you can't actually say that was good evidence or that was good evidence. What you say is that was brilliant because that was communication. And it becomes part and part of your soul's experience. That's how I see it. And that's what I love about the miracle of it. And you know, when you come off, you finish your work and you come off and you feel like a bottle of champagne, don't you? You're so high, it's the cheapest way to get a high, I think, because you're lifted by the two worlds and the soul is so, it's like you've released the soul from the prison and it's free, isn't it? And there aren't two worlds, there's just one world in that hour that you're spending with them. There's just that oneness. And for me, holding on to that memory of those miracle moments, because it doesn't happen every time, as you know. You never reach that high every time. I wish you did. I wish I could say that, you know, once you've got this, then it's going to happen every time you demonstrate or every time you give a reading to someone, you're going to feel like that. It doesn't always happen like that. And why doesn't it? Well, I think sometimes it's because of us. I think that perhaps for us, we're not ready for that upliftment. We don't release the soul's power enough. I think that that can be one. I think it can be the universe and the way it's operating at the time. But I also think that sometimes you can be working with people in the spirit world that really, well, they're trying you out. They're seeing whether you can do this. They're seeing whether it's true life continues after death and you can communicate with my loved one. I'm sure we have people like that sometimes that are in the spirit world, and my goodness gracious me, do they put us through the mill sometimes? Because of course they may not use clairsentience, they may be so scientific or anti-mediumship that for them to try it, well, let's stand here and see how this happens, see what takes place. But you know, even in that, it's a miracle. Even in that, it's a miracle that somebody in the world of the spirit loves somebody here so much that there is a chink in their armor and they're going to have a go. And I love that part of it too. And I love it afterwards being able to say to them, so what did you think? And not to the person here, but to the person in the spirit world. Because of course, mediums can talk to the spirit world and say, how did it go for you? You know, I think sometimes it's not the pats on the back that we get from people here. It's the pats on the back that we get from the spirit world when they say, thank you very much. I loved working with you. I love blending with you. I love being with you. I love being in your presence. I honestly believe that those are the moments. Those are the moments of absolute joy, but absolute peace. And occasionally it happens when you've got the chink in the armor. All right. But I love it when they just say, well, I'll have another go with another medium and see what it's like with them. Okay. And they do that too, don't they? Well, yeah, you were all right, but I'll have a go with somebody else. And I think that that is just the human nature side of them that has gone with them. Because we don't lose the human nature. And I wonder how many times you and I, for instance, have thought, oh, I wouldn't go to that medium again. She wasn't right for me. I'll go and try so and so. And it's the same with the people that come on courses, of course. You choose the people that you've got an affinity with. That's what you do. Because that's what the human element is.
Yes.
And that doesn't change when we're in the spirit world.
Mhm.
And I think that's important too. I don't know what you think, but that's how I see it.
Well, I do agree that in this miracle of mediumship, it is about bringing the essence of a spirit through. When you can really feel what it feels like to be them and convey that as much as possible to the client or the sitter, and that communication, the commentary they have about the people and situations around that client or sitter are part of the real-time communication and help assist the client and sitter in knowing that their loved one in spirit is with them, not just in the session, in this reading, in this message, but also checking in on them in their life in the here and the now. And then they get this look on their face, right? They get this look on them. Oh, they do know that this happened. They do know I'm going through this. They do know that we're about to do such and such. And that's, for me, what true communication with spirit is all about. And it's a family reunion many times, and being able to help both sides communicate well. So I couldn't agree more. And I do feel that love and awe that you are talking about, I think that is what sustains me and keeps me very interested in being a medium going forward. Even though I've done this for decades now, right? Just as you have, it's what keeps us very interested.
Well, it keeps us alive, doesn't it?
Yes, yes.
Because we feel alive on every level. I mean, when you're in the power, and there's nothing like the power, and it's not just the power of the spirit world coming here, it's our own power. It's when we release that power, we start to feel that expansion. And it's the expansion of the soul, but you can feel it filtering through your body. And I know for myself, being someone who suffers with periodic pains, I can be in agony, and yet once that power is released within me, it's gone.
Yes.
And I'm there, and it's as if the healing that takes place while I'm working, it's the soul releasing the power of healing. It's the spirit world bringing the power of healing. And I'm so blessed in that moment. And there is a blessing. And I do believe that mediums who work for the public really do receive many, many blessings. I don't believe the spirit world can sort our problems out for us. I think we have to do that. I believe that they can be there, but then I always said to people, well, when your mother was alive, did you do everything she told you to do? Or did you sometimes go your own way? And it's exactly the same. When the spirit world are working with us, and particularly I think in a one-to-one, when it's a good contact, if you've had a mother that was a matriarch and knew everything about you, she's going to be telling you, don't do that, don't do it. But there'll be part of you that thinks, well, thank you very much, mother, but I am. Okay. Because that's what we did when we was on the earth. That's what we did when they were here. And it is no different now. It is no different. And although we will make some errors, there are our errors to make. But to think that they know, And I know my mother would have had a lot of chuckles about the time she's tried to guide me. And I thought, no, I can't do that, mother. I'm going this way. Okay. Only to know she'll be chuckling over there thinking, well, I told you so. Just like she used to do, and her finger used to go up, I told you so. All right. And I can see her still doing it, which I think is rather wonderful. But then I think it releases the spirit world. I think that they can come and they can give us their opinion and their ideas of what's going on, but they're not responsible for us in the same way as when they were parenting us. I think it's a different feel because they understand now. They understand. And I don't believe it hurts them when we take a different turning. I don't believe it hurts them at all. I think they'll all be like my mother thinking, oh my God, she'll be back next week saying I should have listened. Okay. And I think that that's the joy of it too for the spirit world, is that they can still give us their opinions and ideas, but we have to rule ourselves. And, you know, the conscious mind and our own self-will and our own self-government, when I get to the spirit world, I'm going to ask about that one because, you know, when the spirit world come and say, don't marry that sixth husband, just don't do it, okay? And I think to myself, yes, I am going to do, and it becomes an absolute disaster when I do. What's the purpose of that? What's the purpose of that conscious mind of mine that is so strong that it will deny the reasoning of my own soul, but also deny the reasoning of the spirit world? I sometimes find that's a bit complex, and as yet, I may have philosophical answers for you, but I don't know that I've got the right answer for you on that one. But because I know that that human being side is just there and is alive, and one day we'll understand why. One day somebody is going to sort that out when we get there. And I often think to myself, when we're in the spirit world, I wonder how much the conscious mind will still be in government, or whether when we go to the world of the spirit, whether the soul then has more opportunity of actually taking us forward. Now, for me, I hope it's the soul. If I'm honest, I believe it's the soul from what I hear from the great speakers in the spirit world, that the soul then becomes more, there is more of a responsibility to the listening of the soul when we're in the spirit world. I hope that's so, okay? But again, sometimes we have to think about it. But even that's a miracle, isn't it? That, you know, we are self-governing, and yet this source that we call God never dictates to us. Look at that miracle. So you're a medium and I'm a medium. If I want to turn away tomorrow, or you want to turn away tomorrow, you can. That God isn't going to come down and hold you in judgment. He's not going to make your life a hell or a misery, whether you're in this world or the next. So we know that in some way, that great power makes sure that we have a freedom of thought and that we are always constantly challenged spiritually. And I think that that's the answer, that here on earth, we have the conscious will, but the soul and the God source challenge us to go spiritually rather than to go materialistically. Mm-hmm. I think that that's the answer to that. But even that's a miracle, that we have so much freedom to be who we are, because life itself and all its little bits and bods in it that make it up, it's like a great mosaic, isn't it? A great jigsaw puzzle, and it all comes together in the great source, in that great supreme intelligence side. And woven in that, we have the beautiful philosophical outpouring that comes from the soul, but also comes in from the world of the spirit. Always there, always trying to interact with us. Mediumship has changed over the years, and we've had to change with it, haven't we? From being on a platform or seeing people in person to actually doing it on screen. I don't know if you were like me, but I didn't like the idea of doing it on screen. I didn't feel that it was going to happen in the same way. I got the feeling that I am cut off from your soul. So, I'm just looking at an image on a screen. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. And I didn't believe it would work. But with Jeannie at my side and the spirit world, slowly but surely, my conscious mind had to bow to the fact that no, the soul is not confined. And if you are on screen, you are still soul. And therefore, we are still all together in this oneness. And doesn't it make you recognize that really it isn't two worlds? It's not two worlds, really. It's really only one soul world that we actually work with. And whether we're working psychically or mediumistically, it's that one soul world that you and I work with, that just that it's that vibration that's in the core of it, and yet it's hard to define. But that's what it is. So how did you feel at the beginning doing it on screen? Did you find it easy?
So I had a bit of trepidation about that, but I had been doing phone readings for years. So I did that when I couldn't see or be next to anyone, just hear their voice over the phone. And that was very successful and no problem. So I thought, well, let's do this Zoom thing. And after the first one, I was just like, oh yeah, I can totally do this. There's no problem whatsoever, because spirit doesn't have the same kind of time and space restrictions that we seem to impose upon ourselves. And so it didn't end up being a problem for me, but I can understand how, we all have a little bit of trepidation when we're trying something new, when we're, trying to embrace using technology along with spirit.
But it's the same with mediumship, isn't it? When you're trying something new, I can't do that. That isn't how I do it. This isn't what it is. And the conscious mind gets all tangled up and in a stress, doesn't it? Because goodness gracious me, I can't do that. Okay. And we limit, the conscious mind limits us, where the soul's saying, no, let me be free. I mean, I never did telephone readings, but you've got to remember when I came in, you had to walk half a mile to a telephone box. Okay, there was not telephone boxes in the house. Okay, I assure you, at the beginning of my journey. So that was a strange, different phenomena. What I do like about the ability of the spirit world is their ability to be in your home with you, where I can see them in your home with you, and yet they're here, and I can see them with me, and I can hear them with me, and I can communicate with them. I find that absolutely fascinating, that there's this interaction that really is beyond any scientific explanation. It really is. But it happens and it's real, isn't it? You must have witnessed it and been involved with it. Where you can say, oh, I can see your mother stood at your side and she's brushing your hair. And you can hear her telling you that as if she's here in the room with you. And it's just amazing. What I love about Zoom as well, of course, is your smile. So when you're working with people on Zoom, you actually can see the faces, but you can see them light up, can't you? And you can see the auric field opening and that sigh of relief. Oh, goodness, my mum's here, and it's like you can see that. And you can see the auric field and you can see the blessings that the mother's giving. I just think that that's amazing. So I'm quite into technology now. I don't have a problem as long as you don't ask me to use it. Technically, that's why Jeannie hasn't moved out of the room. Because if she moved out of the room, I'd be absolutely lost. So I'm all right with all the rest of it. But if you look at that, what fault is that? That's my conscious mind saying you can't do this. You can't do this. You'll break it if you have a go. You'll get it all muddled up if you do it. And that's the ability of the conscious mind to actually control us.
Mhm, mhm,
And it does control us all, doesn't it, really?
mhm.
But I've got to say, I'm happy being controlled by my conscious mind as far as the computer's concerned, as long as I'm free to allow my soul to work through it. And Jean is happy to be here at my side, then I'm content. Okay, but you look at it, don't you? And I'm look at the skeptics that we've got that don't believe in this and don't believe in what we do, and yet they accept consciously, quite easily, about electricity. They can press a button
Right.
and they've got electricity. They've got light. They can do all these things, um, and they can't see. They have no evidence. They've only got what somebody's told them, and they've got a light switch. That's all they've got. Okay. Um, so really, I think to explore mediumship as a skeptic must be extremely good and satisfying. You know, I think that's what Jean loves about it, because Jean's not somebody who can just accept it. How can I put it? She can't just accept it because I believe it. She's trying to feel it for herself, and I think that the best evidence that you can have is the evidence you get for yourself.
Mm, mm.
So at the beginning, when Jean first sensed that somebody was touching her hair, it would be there's a draft. She'd find a reason for it. Now, occasionally, she'll say, that must be my mother, or that must be this, or that must be that. And look, Mavis, that door open. No, there was no draft, Mavis. There has to have been something, and the miracle and the joy that she is getting out of actually exploring and taking advantage of this personal one-to-one relationship. And I've come right back to where I started out. Okay.
Yeah.
This one-to-one intimacy that you can have. We have a robin that sits on the fence. And although Jean hasn't said to me yet that she believes it's somebody, just sending her own unique little message, it's amazing how she remembers exactly the fence and where that fence is and how this bird sits there. And I wonder how many people sense a robin, see a butterfly, feel a presence, are aware that there is something there, and the miracle that they're actually involved with, without even recognizing that God's got them by the hand and He's just taking them forward. And slowly, I don't believe you can move fast with this if you're a skeptic. I just think that you can't just go for the evidence of a name or the evidence of a number. I think that you've got to go beyond that, and you've got to find your involvement with your soul and with the mediumship, because that will make that attunement so much better, and it'll give it more depth.
Mhm,
That attunement and knowing,
mhm.
I really believe it is so important, so important. But hey, that's me. And of course, everybody's allowed their opinion, aren't they? And their ideas and their knowledge. And we all have. It's amazing how many different religions we have. It's amazing how many different teachers we have of mediumship teaching differently. And why is that? It's because our perception of teaching has to do with our own our own life experience within mediumship, our own connection with the world of the spirit, and how the world of the spirit have taught us, but leaving us with that flexibility to think for ourselves at the same time. And that's the beauty of it, isn't it, really? And I always say to people, if somebody says you've got to do something, then walk the other way. If it's right for you, then stay, but make your decision, okay? Because I believe that that's the way to go forward. Okay, over to you. I've nutted and nutted and nutted. I've got very,
No,
very.
it resonates as truth within me. It's how I perceive and have connected with spirit myself. So it resonates as perfect truth to me, and probably to many of our viewers today. And I'm sure there'll probably be comments galore of yes, that's exactly how I feel it too, and how I perceive the dynamic of spirit communication. And I like how you've woven this all together so beautifully, that understanding of the dynamics of spirit personality that comes through in conversation, and what a miracle that is to connect with them. Like you gave the example earlier of the mother coming through to the daughter and wanting to give advice, and yet the daughter going their own way. And so often I tell clients that, this is their opinion. You do as you wish. Your life is not about ask the audience. The peanut gallery doesn't get a vote about any of this. You have free will. And I think that the reason that's so strong for both you and I about this is because we've been grounded in the philosophy of spiritualism and spiritual natural law, and that we know that that's at work in everyone's life, and especially in mediumship readings, in messages. The spiritual natural law will show up and be part of the miracle of mediumship. And that through those dynamics, that's how a person says, oh, that's my mom, or that's my grandma, or that's my dad, or that's my brother. Or that's how they know, because, oh, that's exactly what they would say. That's exactly how they would react to the situation. Because ultimately, those people in spirit are still them. We might get version 2.0, but they're still them, and they're still learning and growing. And I love how you were explaining that you could feel spirit with you and then with other people on the other side of the screen in Zoom, because that's exactly how it is for me too. It's as if it's like an Alice in Wonderland window almost.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so it's like we can go through almost like the portal, that this computer screen becomes almost like a portal through to make that possible and to make those links happen as well.
That's where the soul world is, and we're in that soul world when that's taking place. I'm certain of that, and it's a very real world. This soul world that we enter into. I love the idea of the Alice in Wonder. I'll use that in the portal. I never thought of that one when I'm talking. And the other thing I like to think is that they're always around us. That's what we say, don't we? We say the spirit world's always around us. Don't we have any private moments? I remember a student saying that to me, and I'm thinking, no, I wonder what he means there. Okay. And I've heard people say, and when I was in the shower, the spirit world came, and I thought, well, I hope nobody comes to me from the spirit world when I'm in the shower, because I don't look very pleasant. Okay. And surely to God, I do have some private moments. I'm certain that we do. I'm certain that we do. So what do we mean by the spirit world are always there? I believe it's the soul, not the identification, but the soul presence that's there. And again, that's different. It changes it. But I always remember that student saying it to me, because I was so glib. Don't worry about it. The spirit world's always with you. Oh, Mary's not always. Oh, I haven't got any private moments left, and it was just so funny. But I had to really think about it, because it was one of the things I was always saying, not recognizing that we're talking about that the intelligence of the spirit world, first of all, that they would not impose into private moments. That's number one. And number two, what we're talking about is this soul healing presence that's there, that surrounds us all the time. But that's not a person, that is a power. That is the great power. But I remember laughing at that. And when people say to me, well, you know, and they come back to me for sittings every 3 months, every 12 months. And I think we've got to be careful, because why are they coming back every 12 months or every 3 months? Are they so dependent on what Mother is saying from the spirit world that they're not living a life? I think as mediums, our responsibility for that is immense. And I think you're absolutely right when you said, you know, they can give their opinion, but we have to do it our own way. Other than that, I mean, even when you're doing the tarot spread, I love the tarot cards. I use the tarot cards for a psychic reading. I use the tarot cards with permission of the spirit world, I've got to say, because there are people in the spirit world that don't like the tarot cards. They don't like rune stones. They really, you know, breaking them into the idea that it's part of the whole is very difficult for the spirit world sometimes. So I'm very careful when I'm using the tarot cards. But even when I'm doing that, I'll say to them, look, I can only tell you what I see. But at the end of the day, you have to make a decision. These cards can't live your life for you. My intuitive psychic ability to clairvoyantly see can't live your life for you. You have to live your life here. And I find that really sometimes is distressing for people. They really have been taught that the spirit's always with you, and therefore they can do everything and sort your life out. And really, I can't see that that's right. Otherwise, I wouldn't have made any mistakes in my life. I would have listened to my mother for the last 20 odd years. Okay. So here again, I think that this personal responsibility, if we could only look at the personal responsibility as a miracle, that we have this opportunity to open up our souls, to listen to the soul more than we do, then I believe that the joy of the blending with the God source would be there a lot stronger than it is at times.
Right.
And then, of course, that enriches the work with the world of the spirit. I just love it. I just love it. So
I like your point about that most folks in spirit are not voyeurs, that the voyeurism is not strong. That what I tell people is no one's that interesting. That's why they edit reality TV.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I feel ultimately that you know, they'll say, well, do they hear me when I talk to them? Sometimes they do, and sometimes they'll get the message later. You know, it's that sense of, you know, they'll get the text or they'll get the voicemail later, and then they'll come, because we're not always available 24/7 to everyone in our lives either. And we have to have a bit of that distancing for our own sakes and for our own schedules and what is prioritizing for us, because they're on their own spiritual journey per se, and that they do come around and they do care, but ultimately it is that individual's responsibility. And you're right, they look at you like, oh my goodness, it's like you've just given me a loaded gun or something. And they don't realize that they're just so scared to make a decision and put a step wrong in their life. But they have to get to that place of, I'm going to listen to what is in my highest and best good now. What is in my highest and best good, and the highest and best good of others. And I can't be reliant on someone else's statement one way or another. And that's such a valuable piece of information, so that they recognize that that the miracle of mediumship is what it is, but it should never take the place of what your own soul tells you.
No, no. And look at how many, the vastness and how many miracles there are in this experience of life. And I know that at the moment we've got the pandemic and we've got all the problems that are assailing around us. But look at the rising that we have of the power of the human spirit, the good that people are doing. It is gathering momentum as it goes on. And if we take anything from what has taken place, is the miracle that people, ordinary people, not people in high states of positions or kings or queens, but ordinary people have actually let the soul speak through them in their actions. And the God source, without a label, without a religion, without a doctrine of any description, they've just let the human spirit rise and the soul has been free.
Mhm.
And we, if we gather all those miracles up and reviewed them, I don't know what your television's like, but over here, they occasionally put on the news someone who's done some good for other people. And I just love it because I think the power of the human spirit, and it magnifies to other people, and it can only feed the people. And isn't that communication and the soul and the spirit and the oneness actually happening on earth?
Mhm. Mhm.
And
And
isn't that mediumship really?
that
Because
is mediumship.
that interaction that comes in, and someone in the spirit world that they've never met will be blessing them from the other world, saying, thank you very much for what you did for my mother.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for what you did for my child. And you won't even know they're receiving, but they will be receiving a blessing from the spirit world by an unseen host
Mm.
of people.
Mm. Mhm.
And they are blessed, and they are blessed. And that's wonderful. And that's the other miracle, the other side of the miracle. The people that are blessing you, that you've never met and possibly never will meet, but because of you, they want to bless you for what you've done. What more can we ask for as human beings?
It's a beautiful energy of symbiotic experience that's going on, that even if we don't know the full extent of how we've blessed another person, and that might be a gift in itself, but that we don't know the full extent of how we've done that, sometimes we do get gratitude coming to us in other forms because of that spirit of abundance that is in existence in all of our lives. But when we do something of good for another person and are there for them in some way, be it as small as a smile or as big as saving their life from a burning building, however that works, there can be moments of true blending and linking with other souls here on the earth plane. And we can feel, I felt this sometimes, that spirit gathers in around a person if they're going through crisis. And their angels can gather in around them, their loved ones in spirit, but sometimes the loved ones of others that have been saying, hey, I am praying for so-and-so here on the earth plane. Can you go and help and lend your energy and support? And if people could only see all of these beautiful souls that gather in around them during that time, it's that idea of the prayer visual, but multiply that by infinity and you finally got it.
And just look at how many people on the earth pray for people that they don't know, and the good that that does.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's this inpouring and outpouring of the soul. That's what it is. And without that, then this earth has nothing more to offer. Because whatever we offer, it has to come from the soul. And that's where it starts and that's where it ends. And I just love the idea of it. And you know, when you pray for people that you don't know, when you do something for people that you don't know, you're not looking for anything for yourself. You're doing it because You want to do it, not because of the praise or the thanksgiving you're going to get from doing it. And I think that that is important. And it takes us back to being children, where we don't need to be told, where we just do things because it's right to do. And that's wonderful too. So life really is a miracle, but life eternal is a miracle. And everything that we are part of, contained within the philosophical and mediumistic, really is so humbling and yet so rewarding.
Yes.
And does it matter that we haven't got all the answers? No, it doesn't. They'll come when we need them. They'll be there if we need them. We don't need to be worrying or feeling that we've always got to be achieving something or going for a goal. When we're happy to be ourselves, within our soul, then we're finding the true purpose of the miracle of life. And with that, I think we've come more or less at the end, unless somebody in the chat room wants to say something. Or whether the time has gone, I don't know.
We appreciate so much you sharing about the miracle of mediumship today. It's been wonderful, Mavis. I'm so grateful that you were able to come back on the show again and share your thoughts about such a special understanding of the mediumship process and spirit communication, and also of the journey of the soul, which is such an important aspect of the mediumship work that we do. So thank you so much for being on the show today. Those of you who want to find out more about Mavis Pittilla can visit her website, mavispittilla.com, and tune in next week for Wednesdays with Willa, when I'll have another great guest and another great topic for you to enjoy here on Willa White Medium. And before I forget to mention, the February Monday Night Circles will be starting up soon, so you'll want to make sure you sign up for those if you want to join me and learn in a development circle style how to address your own mediumship abilities and to grow and cultivate them more. All right, everyone, have a beautiful week. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you for having me. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Bye.